So my name is Jonathan Bluff, W0TLM. For a couple of years I had this build a Raspberry Pi All-Star node in the back of my mind. Because one of my first repeater contact ever, back when I was super, didn't know what I was doing, didn't know this plugin even existed, I called CQ on a repeater and I got somebody's attention real fast who was actually new. Obviously that was a beginner and kind of talked me through it. That was Michael AC0V. He turned to be my first contact actually, also with the All-Star node with this. So anyways, I kind of figured that this project was going to go either like totally north or totally south. It came real close to going super south. I honestly had no clue what I was doing or how to make this thing work until Friday night. And then like today, it was still over-modulating. It was super hot on the transmit side. On the receive side, it was still super low, and I finally figured out how to get that going. So this project literally is hot off the press. If you guys want to, I have hot links in how I did stuff and how-tos and helpful YouTube videos. You can either use this document if you got an eidetic memory, or you can use a tiny URL if you just want to go quick and easy and just pull it right up with the hot links available for you. So this is what I'm going to kind of hop through for our talk. I'm going to try to make it really quick because this is one of those projects you have to just jump into, dive into, and just it's going to take its own little life of its own. That came out really badly. It's going to take a life of its own. Not going to take its own life. I thought about that for this. Anyway, and every little situation when you're going to develop this is probably going to be pretty individualized. So I'm just going to kind of give you an overview of how I did it and the steps I took. So first off, to me, like, what is All-Star? Then I'm going to talk about the different types of nodes that you'll see with All-Star. The parts du jour list, the software list, and then how to register a node and then start actually building it, and then playing with my node is actually up and running, and apparently you can get to it from here. And then I'll tie it up with things I want to try, and we'll just kind of like see where it goes from there. Anyways, so why All-Star and what is All-Star? If you're familiar with IRLP and Echolink, All-Star is quite similar to that. All-Star does support Echolink, so you can actually make an EchoStar node if you really want to, and that looks like one of my projects I want to try out next. You can hook up just a ton, like virtually unlimited simultaneous connections, and it's full duplex, which is really cool for those of us, who might be like ADHDers and impulsive and just want to get in there and talk. You can talk over somebody and everybody else can hear you talking on top of somebody. It's a whole load of fun that way. You can do it. It's not polite, okay? Ham rule still. I was making a joke there, a bad joke. But you can actually you can hear multiple conversations going on, and the audio is incredibly clear. Once I figured out how to actually adjust the audio levels, the sound is super crisp. Pretty much wherever it's from. I was listening to somebody from Scotland today. Australia has been on quite a bit. There's two friends who just love this particular node that I'm parked on right now. And it's really incredibly clean once you have it set up correctly. All right, so there's actually 4 node types out there, but the 3 big ones is a repeater where you have a full duplex node, kind of like the N0XLF would be a repeater style, even though they run Echolink, but you get the idea where you can actually connect a repeater to a node, and you can actually invite various nodes to talk on that repeater, and then people connect up to the repeater from there. Then there's what I run, which is a simplex, where it's half duplex, and you control it with your DTF commands from your walkie-talkie. And you guys are welcome to use my node, and I'll give you all the information in just a bit. And then finally there's a hub. And a hub is nothing more than a high bandwidth server location where a bunch of people can meet. It doesn't necessarily even have to have a repeat or a radio there at all. It's just a computer system sitting somewhere. So there's a whole bunch of them. And you can link hubs to other hubs as well. So you can make this giant, talk room if you really wanted to. All right. So here's the parts list. I went the expensive route because I didn't know what the heck I was doing, and I'd rather have, I actually kind of paid a little bit for some peace of mind. So you can do with an RPi 2 or 3. Those are cheap. You can find them for under 40 bucks. It's through 40 bucks on there, so you kind of get a ballpark. But you can find them for real cheap. There's a URI out there. It stands for Universal Radio Interface. It's made by DMK Engineering. It connects to your radio and into the RPi via USB. And that, for amateur radio operators, as long as you have a call sign, it's $75. And if you don't, it's over 100 bucks. So that was pretty nice. You can make the cable doesn't come with it. That goes from the URI to your radio, so you really need that piece. It's easy enough to solder them together, but I didn't want to go out there and and start to wonder, am I actually like soldering this thing correctly? Did I put the right wire where I was supposed to? Because this was a big enough project for me as it was. So I just went ahead and bought this stinking cable for 60 bucks, and I like convinced my wife because it was my birthday. So she couldn't say no. It was awesome. All right, and then the ham radio, and I put these radios here for a reason. The software I use actually has these as default selections if you wish, which makes it even easier to set up. You are not limited to those. You can do it if you are ones and zeros savvy and electronics savvy. You can probably figure out how to hook up whatever radio you want to. But you're going to need the documentation, the wire diagrams, and stuff like that to pull it off. Any questions so far? Yes?
I don't recognize any of those radios.
Oh, you know what? This one, this bow frame right here, it is dirt cheap. It's like 15 bucks. And you just like, they have like, the setup is right there for you. It's pretty cool. The Kenwood TMV718 is actually the one that I own. I was just blind luck that it supported my radio like as a default. And then the Motorola, this is a repeater radio that's out there. This Alinco, I actually had to do a super web search for it, and I still couldn't find it. People had taken them apart and modded them already, and that's all you find on the internet. It's like chunks of PCBs.
The Motorola GM300 is the same thing as the Max Track, and there's a whole long list of Motorola radios that have the identical pinout to that. You could probably even use a CDM 1250 in that particular location. And they're dirt cheap on eBay.
Oh, cool. Did that help at all?
No.
Okay. All right.
So, what band do they operate on, and what mode
questions.
of operation is?
So the band that you're going to find, like these radios are 2 meter and 70 centimeter radios.
Okay.
So, and that's what I was going to get to. Yeah.
They're FM?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And that was a great question. I was intending to get there. So something that's really cool for those of you who are just starting up with this club or have a tech license or don't yet have your license and are thinking about it, Bob mentioned that techs have a super thin slice of 10 meter single sideband available to them, and that's like your only real hope right now of being able to kind of skip around and do long distance. Echolink, IRLP, and of course All-Star allow you, even with a tech license, to dial around to repeaters around the world and do DXing, if you would, without the license upgrade. So it's a pretty cool bridge. It is supported obviously by an internet backbone. It's V over IP, but some places actually run it through microwave instead. So it would still potentially be up even if your your charter went out for the EV or something like that. So, and yes, it is all on. It does like inputs and outputs, like at the repeater. Sorry, at the radio side is it's 2 meter and 70 centimeter is pretty much how it works. Any other questions?
This Bayfang 666
Yes.
is now available on eBay for $11.
Yeah. You can, if you mess it up, you just buy another one. It's no big deal. Right? Okay. All right, the software list. You can see that I'm a Windows person, and that came back to really haunt me. So for Windows, not that Windows is a bad OS to use, it's that I have no clue. Like I am like Linux not savvy. So for Windows, I use the SD card formatter because you are going to do everything with the Linux format. So the SD card format, so that your Linux will actually work with the SD card, you're gonna wind up writing an image to for the system. I use what's called the ham VoIP software for that. And there is a little link here which says help. This guy actually goes through and shows you how to actually install all these things specifically for use for ham VoIP software. Anyways, the Ham VoIP is one of a few different software platforms that you can use to run your All-Star node. You can get your All-Star node up and running directly from allstarlink.org, but it's super, I don't know how to say it. I didn't find it as user-friendly in the end. I wound up I tried that one, and then I tried Ham VoIP, and I found that to be a little bit easier to actually understand, and a little bit less buggy for me. So, yeah. Questions there? All right, so you're gonna grab the software that you need. All this stuff is available for free, which is great. All right, so here you go. So it sounds easy. So the first part right here, this step, I had that one mastered on my own. I was very proud of myself. All you do is go to allstarlink.org, and you give them your call sign in about 24 hours or less. They'll spit you back with a node. So you're gonna go to where it says request a node, and then if you're gonna actually run this on a radio, make sure you check and you're using an approved simplex frequency in Colorado, be it 2 meters and 70 centimeters. You don't want to go out there and run over somebody else's repeater frequencies by accident. So double check that. If you have any questions about how to find that, if you're new to the hobby, I'll show you where to find that at. Then this is where everything fell apart for me badly. It wasn't that I have a presentation coming up in a week, I should probably install the software. That was not me at all. I started actually trying this stuff out when I volunteered. I want to do the Raspberry Pi project. That's proud when I started, and then I just crashed into multiple walls. So first thing you want to do is you want to step through the first time setup with a wired internet connection. If you're doing the Ham VoIP option, so make sure everything's wired up. And then you need to put in, and this is one area where I messed up. So input your node info, and you're going to get an assigned password. So when you go to the Ham VoIP page, the All-Star Link page, just remember they're going to say node password on it. That's the one you need to use. Don't go tossing in the password you're going to use to get into your All-Star account. That's an easy mistake to make. You're like, why isn't it working? Well, there's the problem, because you're not using the right password. They're going to give you one. It's all numbers. Ensure your node shows up on the All-Star active node list and in green. If you're like me and you start out and it says not registered ever, something's wrong. Okay, super duper wrong. That was me for months. You're gonna, after that, configure the Wi-Fi, and there's a whole bunch of menus. I'm gonna show you what the menu looks like here pretty soon. And then you don't need to do this part right here where it says set up port forwarding. Only if you want outside stations to be able to call your radio directly. That's where the port forwarding really is gonna come in handy. You can't do it without that. But if you're just going to dial stations from your node to other nodes, you could actually forego that step. And then right here, this is where you expect failure and then blame your router. That's what I did. And then my next step was ask Larry. Yeah. For those of you who don't know Larry, Larry is fantastic with Linux. I owe him a lot. He's stepped me through a lot of interesting problems. As I've kind of learned about amateur radio. I'm still new to the hobby. So he's always been there for help me along. Then the next thing you do, so you're like, oh, I got my Raspberry Pi online. Right now, that's where you should be at. If it takes you a month or two, you're just like me. All right, okay. Then you need to connect your radio, URI, and Pi. So now you're going to put all these pieces together and hope that they talk. Now, they sold me on the internet. There was a YouTube guy, it was on the web, it must have been true. He said, this is all plug and play. I'm like, okay, and nothing worked. So make sure your radio talks to the Pi. You can actually get it to say the system time. And if the system time doesn't come from any of the servers, it just comes from your Pi, and it goes to your radio, and you can listen to it from your HT. And you're like, oh, look, they're talking together. Mine didn't. Expect failure, blame the poor documentation. That is a legitimate excuse. Yes, sir.
I think you said this, but is the Pi wired to the radio?
Okay, everything is okay. There are you need 2 radios. All right. Once again, it's great for Christmas and for your birthday. You're gonna need toys. All right. So you need a Raspberry Pi. You're gonna need the URI that goes between the Pi and your radio. That's just gonna sit there forever and do nothing now. And then you need a walkie-talkie to run around with and play with your radio. Your node from. Does that make sense?
So that's your microphone, and this is your station.
Yeah. So my cheap Baofeng is the one I'm running around playing with, while my expensive Kenwood is sitting there like a brick on my wall, being a node. All right. Anyway, So this did not work. I was getting like feedback, I was getting weird tones coming out of the thing that was on any documentation anywhere, so I invited Larry over to my house and I traded beer for Linux tips. Larry's like, no, I can help you out. He was there for hours. Help me out. All right. So then we finally got that to work. Then we had to make sure that the node talks to the All-Star network by attaching to another node. This is where you run out of excuses. I went through it a lot of different times, and I just wound up doing the project at Larry's house. And then finally it worked. I'm actually pretty confident at this point that my router honestly didn't like something about my setup, and it was just rejecting everything right from the get-go. It's not that hard to connect an RPi to the internet. It's not that hard to put in a call sign and an assigned password, and then you should see green happy lights all over the place. I took the Pi over to Larry's house, and boom, it's on the internet, first try. That didn't make me feel insignificant. But it was successful in the end, and it did work, and I'm actually at the point where I feel like I could actually step one of you guys through this project. When you get, this is the screen you're looking at. I use PuTTY to get into my Raspberry Pi from my Windows laptop, and you would just basically go through this almost in order to set up your Raspberry Pi. So the first thing you want to do before you really do anything is make sure everything is updated. This software does get updated a lot. It changed while I was working on my project, the software actually changed. So it was a significant change actually. You change your root password. Definitely don't leave it as a default. You might want to actually put your RPi on your home network so you can get SSH into it, so you can actually remotely operate your node. So obviously change everything from defaults. Don't do that. Okay. And then you input your node. You got to set your system time zone. Make sure you do that because that's how your Wi-Fi is actually going to work, is with the proper time zone. And then once you got everything kind of working on the wired side, then set it over to the Wi-Fi thing. Something to keep in mind, a lot of us like to just keep the wired internet plugged in and then think it's going to run off the wireless on its own. Ham-VoIP software is not going to do that. So once you get your wireless set up, hit the reboot. When it's going through the reboot process, before it starts up again, unplug from the wire connection, or you should expect to see some failures. Anyway, so this part, once you get everything all set up, it was a simple USB tune menu that, again, the documentation was awful, and I just figured out how to do it today. I got home from the dentist, my mouth was numb, I wasn't going to do anything anyways, so I actually sat down and got something done with that, so I'll show you how to do that in just a moment. There's a super slick, YouTube video out there where the guy goes through, and I'll show you his site, where he goes through how to actually set the menus. When you set the transmit audio, I found it's a lot like trying to actually tune your antenna using single sideband, which isn't the best thing in the world because the needles go all over the place. So I just wanted like humming into my walkie-talkie, and you can see a little bar go across the screen that tells you your audio level. And then once you find one that's suitable between the two brackets, you just go with that number and you set it in there. It's actually a lot easier. Like you look at it on a screen where it just looks like like MS-DOS from yesteryear. You're gonna go like, what's going on? But the video right there that I have linked for you guys will step you through it. There is a test server out there. I didn't know about that today until Larry messaged me and said, "Hey, you want to try the test server?" I'm like, "Sure." I've been like trying to I've been using the server in Great Britain to get audio reports. This is way better. So right here, you just actually use a test server. You put in this node number. You say something. Give it a second, and it sends a recording back to you, so you can get both transmit and receive, and not have to sound like a dingus on the internet trying to play with your radio. So yeah. All right. So this is how I felt the entire time through. I felt like the salmon there. My buddy Michael, AC0V, actually mentioned that he was ready to throw his project away too. He had asked for a lot of help from his two engineering friends who knew Linux and who had oscilloscopes and stuff to get his set up. So it is not abnormal apparently to not know what the heck you're doing. Anyway, think I feel like I skipped a slide somehow. No, I didn't. Oh, well. Okay. So there are things I still want to actually try to do with my All-Star node that I now have set up. I want to hook up and make it like, hook up Echo Link so I can actually use my walkie-talkie into my All-Star node and still get to repeaters like N0XLF or other Echo Link enabled repeaters around the world. There's another real fun one I would like to do with my high school amateur radio students and let them pop apart a UV5R and mod it to actually work with the RPi and make their own All-Star node. And then hopefully, I was hoping that, things I want Larry to try and show me how. He was talking about building a radioless All-Star node. So you would just have your Raspberry Pi here, this radioless doodad right here, whatever's in that black box, I don't know, and then you can just hook it up to your phone, set your phone up as a hotspot, and then when you're driving around, if you're on a long trip, instead of calling CQ or whatever on the 2-meter calling frequency and getting nothing back, you might actually be able to have some fun and talk to people around the world using 2 meters, which is kind of cool. But it does go through the data plan on your phone if you were to do that. Any questions so far? No? All right. Okay, it means I'm either doing really great or really bad. All right. So if you guys want to, my node is actually up and running. You can tune to your radio to 146.400. It's got 100 Hz CT CSS on it. And right now it's connected to node, and I might change this in a bit, 41522, which is out of Manchester in the United Kingdom. It's super busy during the daytime. It's really neat. If you want to play with my node, play with it as much as you want. Just please don't connect or disconnect any nodes, because it's easy to connect a node, forget you did that, then somebody else comes along and connects another node, and that's how I would get banned from various nodes. And that wouldn't be fun for me. Probably shouldn't have told you that. Anyway, so.
Been there, done that.
Yeah, right? You guys wanted to give it a shot, you can. If you can't hear it, my wife is standing by with her finger on the power button on my radio. I can actually bump up the power on radio. I am keeping my radio at low power because I have no clue what medium power or like high power would do the duty cycle on my Kenwood, and I don't want to melt it because I'm out of birthday presents this year, so. Yeah. So that's that. You guys want to play with it? I also have links to videos on the things I wanted to try. If you guys want to see those, like how did he do that? You let me know what you want or if you have questions. Yes, sir.
A couple of slides back, you had a list of menu choices.
Oh, yes.
What is that on?
Okay.
Is that on the Pi?
That is on the Pi. So, but instead of having a monitor attached to the Pi that is my node the whole time, I can just sit in my house or apparently anywhere else and just SSH right into my Pi and change it wherever I want to.
Okay.
But this is the actual menu you will see when you're setting up your All-Star node.
Thank you.
Yeah. Go for it.
Why did you change the SSH port?
I'm sorry?
Why did you change the SSH port?
Why did I change it?
Number 8 there, I think it's 8.
Oh, it says change it. Oh, it's change the SSH port. It defaults to
222.
yeah 222. Some people change it to 22. I don't know. I left it. So I figured the more universal and general it is, the more secure my home network is. I don't know. Any other questions?
Yes.
Where's your QTH and what is the antenna that you have this on?
Okay, beautiful question. Okay, so how do people know where my location is? Am I correct? Is that what you're asking about? If you go to allstarlink.org, it has a whole list of active nodes, and it's going to tell you where the node is located at. That's where you put all of your information, your QTH, your location, what kind of, your frequency that the simplex frequency that you're running off of, any tones that you have, so people can actually utilize it when they're, if they're in the area. It actually has something really neat called a bubble map. So if you click, like for example, on my node on All-Star Link, you will see all the various nodes that I'm connected to at that point in time, which is really, really neat. Did that answer your question?
Pretty much.
Okay. And then Larry, go for it.
I'm on mine right now with Supermon,
Uh-huh.
and I've got a full list of all the nodes.
So you can manage your node from your phone. Yeah.
So, your comment about keeping your transmitter power down
Yes.
is really, really, really important, because
Right.
like, almost all ham equipment is only good for 50% duty
Right.
cycle. And an operation like this can go 100%.
Oh, yeah.
It can go key down, and so your typical 2-meter, 70-centimeter radio can't take that, maybe at half power.
Right.
Certainly not full power, maybe extra low power.
Right. I'm running mine at 10 watts right now, and apparently you guys can hear it here. And I'm by Rampart High School in Colorado Springs, but it goes up to 50, and I was like, there's no
don't
way
do
I'm
that.
playing with it right there.
How many people have burned up a radio doing that? 10 watts is a lot of power. For
It's
that.
the lowest it'll go.
Lowest of it all.
Yeah.
It's probably okay. Put your hand on the heat sink and see if you can hold
It was cool all day long. Like I was really thinking about it when I was out driving around. I mean, it was just going and going like the whole time I was out driving around. Came back, put my hand on it, and the radio was still cool. I was happy enough with that. So, wasn't on fire. If you guys want to kind of gather around, the speaker is a little bit on the small side. Obviously, it's a mobile radio. I'm going to try, right now my node is connected to a node in Great Britain. It's pretty popular, but right now obviously they're a little bit ahead of us in time, so who knows who's on it. But we can give it a try. This is N0SLO. I was wondering if anybody willing to say hi and try and do a quick presentation on All-Star Node for a club here in Colorado Springs, Colorado.
And then I'll just email you so you have mine.
I'm going to try to connect to Kauai or something like that next, see if we have better luck. This is N0SLO, November 0, Sierra Lima Oscar. Is anybody on the node who'd like to say hi to a club for a...
Node 4, 2, 5, 8, 9. Connected to node 4, 5, 7, 5, 2.
Of course, like, give it a little bit of time so you're not actually trampling somebody else's conversation. This is Jonathan, November 0, Sierra Lima Oscar N0SLO. I was wondering if anybody on this node would like to say hello. I'm doing a club presentation on All-Star nodes.